Well, we're really pleased from the result of last night's game, and after going back and watching it, I was even more impressed with how our players responded in the game, and really won a tough game over an opponent that made us work and really tested us. So that was a great win to start the season off with. Now we have a different challenge here, and it's our first road game in the SEC. Alabama's off to a good start. They had a good record in the non-conference schedule. Very athletic. Have a lot of kids that can score the basketball, and we certainly know how tough they are at home. And we got beat down there last year, so our team needs to be ready to go against a very athletic and aggressive Alabama team. I think that it's worth mentioning to our team that as they see them on film this afternoon for the first time, I think some of the veterans know we didn't do that well. We do have a veteran team. A lot of people played down there last year, so I think it's worth mentioning that what happened, and it was all about energy last year. Got beat, I think, 22 in the first half, and then we beat them 21 or whatever it was. I mean, it was a close game at the end, but we just didn't have the energy we needed in that game, and a lot of the same players are back for them, a lot of the same players back for us. So I do think it's worth mentioning. We won't dwell on it or harp on it, but just for them to know and get our veterans' attention, I think we'll talk a little bit about it. Well, I thought last night was a really good indication of how tough they were or they are mentally, or how capable they are. You know, that mental toughness is something I think is sort of a daily decision and choice that you have to make. You know, there's some times where you can be mentally tough and times you're not. So last night, we really were able to overcome some adversity in the game, and whether that was a good play by Florida or a bounce not going our way or you know, a difficult call in the game or whatever it may be, they really responded to every tough situation last night. So now they've proven that they have the capability of being really tough, because we haven't seen a better zone than that. They were so active, it just at times didn't look like, and even on the film, it didn't look like there was anywhere to go with the basketball in the paint, and you really had to be patient and tough. And we just made so many tough plays down the stretch. So I was really pleased with their mental toughness last night, and I think it was probably one of the better displays of it since we've been here.
Do you have a personality yet, one that you can kind of pinpoint?
You know, I think that we are, from a personality standpoint, I think they've proven to be hard workers. We've been pretty consistent, not as consistent as I would like. We sort of have a group of about 6 players that day in and day out are really consistent, and then we have a group of 6 that are inconsistent. And we sort of divided them up the other day, and we're just trying to get everybody over to the consistent side. And but for the most part, as a whole, they work hard, and they're clearly the most talented team we've had here. So it's very good that we still have sort of identified with that blue-collar work ethic that really got us to where we are now. And they are a pretty high character bunch. They're not angels, and they're not perfect or doing things perfectly. But I just don't have a lot of trouble from this team off the court. They're a pretty responsible group, and they have a lot of fun together, it seems like. So personality-wise, I give them a hard time about some things, but they're a pretty energetic, hard-working group.
She had these lapses. I'm wondering, are those lapses all defensive, or are they offensive, or what are you trying to to get from her that you're not getting?
You know, I was pretty happy with her defense last night. She had Jen really battles making good decisions when she gets fatigued, and that's what we talk about, you know, what we want out of a point guard at Kentucky. You need to be the toughest person mentally and physically on the court. And especially for Jennifer and Janae both, they're not big players. They're not big in physical stature, so they really have to be mean and tough and you know, what we call a junkyard dog mentality on defense. And so I thought defensively last night she was a lot tougher than she's been. It was when she gets fatigued physically, mentally she just makes some bad mistakes, and she had a really bad. We were up 10 or 11, and then it got back down to 6 because she just threw the ball out of bounds and took some bad shots, and so it was more offensive last night. But the good thing that happened with her is where in the past she may have had 3 or 4 of those. She only had one last night, and then she didn't let that one derail her. She didn't get over there and dwell on it on the bench. You know, I tried not to really, you know, give her a hard time. She knew what she'd done. I just tried to get over there knowing that if we could get her wind back and get her a little bit of a blow, she'd get back in. And that was a real sign of progress because she tends to hang on to things. She has done that too much in the past, hang on to things and let that affect what's in front of her. And I thought she handled that a lot better last night. It's a big game for her. I don't know if we could have won the game without the way she played because of the way Florida was trying to take away the inside game. So that 8-0 run, or not 8-0, that 8 straight that she scored, we were having a hard time, and we haven't been able to make those plays in the past.
How much thought goes into just moving Audia to the point? I mean, just what are the issues with doing that? I mean, you had to do that the year that Amber went down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she kind of becomes your go-to in the postseason almost in the point role. Is that something you're considering, just moving her to the point and kind of settling on a lineup?
Well, we're never settled on a lineup because we open it up for competition every day in practice. I'm really comfortable with our starting 5 right now. They're among that group of 6 that I know what I'm going to get effort-wise every day, so that's good for them. So, you know, I'm really comfortable with that. So now it's a matter of who are the backups and who are the subs. And so the best scenario for us would be, you know, 5 and 5. And so, you know, instead of Audia, I'd like to get Audia a break and bring, you know, Bernicia in for her. Instead of giving Jen a break and sliding Audia over, now Audia doesn't get a break. So the reason we're trying to develop some depth is so we can play really tough. But, you know, last night you saw we had to do what we had to do to win the game. Janae is a talented player that we need to do a good job of coaching. And listen, it takes everybody a different time to come along. Janae sort of reminds me of Jennifer when she was a freshman. And, you know, she's not a bad kid. She just, the light has not come on yet as far as how hard she needs to play. And I think that she's still really somehow confused about that. But she is talented enough to get the job done, so that's why I'm not pulling the plug on that. I'm going to continue to try to coach her. She's a really talented player, and I think it would be best if those 2 kids could handle the point. Last night, Audia had to go 35 minutes, and she looked terrific doing it, and she had a steady at the point guard position. And there's no thought for me right now of changing the lineup.
Touched on it there, but with the rotation, I mean, it's short in the last 10 minutes, as I can remember, just kind of Castine coming in spots. How do you come up with those decisions? I mean, is it just sort of a field thing as the game goes on for Alex Allen?
Yeah, it's, you know, everybody, most everybody got a shot last night, and it really comes down to, so if you practice hard and I have confidence that you know what's going on with the game plan and what we're trying to do, you're going to get an opportunity. And then it starts becoming a series of how do you function in the game. And so, you know, I had a breakfast meeting yesterday with the 2 point guards, and told Janae she was going to get a shot, and so she got in there and she didn't function well. And so, as you make adjustments, I think she went in, came out, you try to coach her up a little bit, put her back in, and then at that point she wasn't functioning in the game. Samantha Drake really functioned well in the game last night. I mean, you go back and look at the tape. She did some really good things, which now gives me more confidence in her for Sunday. So it's just when we start making those decisions on who can get in the game is who's functioning well. And then you may get down to a point in that kind of game where, Walker's just playing so hard and she just needs a little bit of a break. Then out of necessity, maybe you put somebody in just to try to get one of those players. But she was really, really working hard last night. She and Denisha both. And so Samantha looked like the one that was the most equipped to play in that tough kind of game last night. So those decisions are happening in real time.
Do you expect, when you play Florida first and people kind of get a blueprint for ways to stall your offense a little bit, are you going to see a lot more of that zone, do you think? And
we may, but I'd say
better about it going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we scored 76 points, and if we score 76 points in this league, we're going to win a bunch of games. I just was so pleased on a night when the opponent really played well, and they were tough and aggressive and making shots, and sometimes making some shots that they don't make. I mean, I just thought both teams really played well. It was a great game. We made some shots maybe that we don't make sometimes too. And it was just really good to see us against a very aggressive but packed-in zone. There was just nowhere in the paint to go unless our players reversed and then were able to drive the ball. And so we did some great things against that zone last night. So that is very encouraging for us. And then, we just feel like we have a talented team, and if we can score against a zone and they go man-to-man. I thought Florida's man-to-man was good. They got out of the zone and went man-to-man, and we had some struggles, but 76 points is really good in an SEC game. We'll win a bunch if we can get that.
Anything else, you guys? Did you say anything specific to Audia before that game? Just kind of like, I mean, after, I guess, Wednesday's press conference, we talked to her, and she said that she'd been lax in the regular season, or pre-conference. And she thought maybe, she had to step it up offensively and defensively. I was wondering how much of that came from you and in discussions that you guys had.
We didn't have one single discussion, but, she and I have been talking a lot. The only thing that I've asked Audia to do is recognize how important she is to this team, and then just understand that the only person that I've ever seen stop her is her, and that she needs to have total belief in her ability, and she needs to understand how important she is to the team. And we have that conversation a lot, and we've had it a lot. We had it on the California trip, and we had it coming back, in anticipation of the league play. But she's so smart, Jen. I don't take a lot of credit for much that she does. She is a very intelligent person.